I already talked about the 2003 horror slasher masterpiece, Wrong Turn. Let's start off with the highlight, the sequel, Wrong Turn 2, Dead End. A lot of people speculate that this is arguably one of the worst horror franchises in all of horror. It's up there with the likes of the Exorcist franchise. Ugh. People are saying the Scream franchises suck. Like, how hateful can you be? You're wrong. What up, y'all? Welcome back to Phantom of the Indie Review. It is your host, Three Finger Ratty. We are on the quest of 3,000 subscribers, so if you're trying to go camping in the backwoods and getting chased by a bunch of bad cannibalistic baddies with your boy Ratty, then come hang out. Usually part 2s have a sour reputation. They regress from the main story and try to water down the same formula with a different spin. However, this one has a nostalgic buzz to it for many horror fans, and it's actually the most popular in the franchise with the best reviews. In this one, they expand on the film and the family, and they try to fluff up the lore more. I am here to say without hesitation that Wrong Turn 2 is a refreshing sequel to the franchise. Steve Barton of Dread Central gave this film 4 out of 5 stars, stating that the film is a hot ticket for some gore-soaked backwoods mayhem that gets even better with repeated viewings and a lot of booze. Former U.S. Marine Colonel Dale Murphy is hosting a survival reality game show, The Apocalypse: Ultimate Survivalist. The contestants consist of a lesbian Iraq war veteran Amber, lingerie model Elena, former football player Jake, skateboarder Jonesy, and graphic artist Nina. And just when they think they're playing a fun game for TV and money, it turns out that they chose the wrong fucking wood settings, bro, because Three Finger and the Odette family are lurking in the background and ready to kill. Nina witnesses the female cannibal Ma giving birth to a deformed baby. Her daughter's sister spots them in the bedroom, forcing the two to escape through the toilet pit. They run into the woods, but Mara is hit in the head with a hatchet thrown by Pa. This one has a lot more to do with the family. As we know, the first one has the 3 brothers, but this one tried to integrate an entire family and more lore and backstory to it. And I feel like for Wrong Turn 2, it really unfolded into a fair story. A lot of times when you go to expand on a universe and add to the canon of a franchise, you can do it very specifically. You can really drop the ball on it, but I feel like this one kind of, hit it out of the park. I like to call Wrong Turn 3 Con Air because it fucking hijacked the entire plot of Con Air, essentially. Shooting took place in Bulgaria. The only returning character was Three Finger, however, he was played by a different actor. So they kind of decided to go for a filler for this movie. It didn't really give more to learn about the family, and also the characters were very disposable, cannon fodder, more than anything else. And though this one has the highest amount of kill candy, is it really worth it? And I'm not gonna lie, when I first saw this one, I was a little bit disappointed. I was a youngin' when I checked it out, but it's not god-awful. I mean, they really try to scare you with this one. They really try to make it more visceral and disturbing and really fucked up, which, gotta pay some respect to that. As they are camping by the riverside, the inbred cannibal Three Finger appears and murders the teens, except for Alex, who escapes after witnessing his friend's deaths. 2 days later, 3 prison guards are assigned along with undercover prisoner U.S. Marshal Willie fucking whatever his last name is, to oversee the transportation of Carlo Chavez, a leader of the crime organization. Even though it gives more of an emphasis for Three Fingers to be the main protagonist, trying to push him into the horror icon category, this one just seems to be the tipping point of the movie's regressive. Like many franchises decide to do, they revert back to an origin story for Part 4, Bloody Beginnings. And although I do have a fondness for the intro, and I do like the snowy, dreary element, the acting and production continues to kind of downfall. Again, prequels are one of the biggest knockoffs in Hollywood. You've seen it done right, you've seen it done wrong. A lot of people like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre prequel, The Beginning, I think it's called. And sometimes you could add too much information. It kind of takes away from a previous film when they try to pick apart everything from the original film and show you in flashbacks. Or, it tries to tell you too much. Or it doesn't tell you enough and it's just called a prequel because it's set beforehand. It's a very fine line to walk. In 1974, at Gainesville Sanatorium in West Virginia, Three Finger, Sawtooth, and One Eye escaped from the cells and released the other patients. Together, they cause a riot and brutally massacre the orderlies and doctors. 29 years later, in 2003, 9 Weston University students spend their winter break snowmobiling to their friend Porter's cabin in the mountains. However, they get lost in a snowstorm and are faced to take shelter in the Glenville Sanatorium for the night, where the brothers live. And this one teeters the line of bad but enjoyable to watch. A lot of fourth entries have that effect in horror franchises. Lesser quality and all around an unfulfilled idea. At this point, they just decided to go with the trend of predictability, which looking back at it, is a disservice to the first 3 movies that all tried to be different. I love the idea of an origin story, but just showing flashbacks sometimes is a cop-out move, and I want more investment. Hell, they could have even shown more of the brothers' lore. Probably one of the most divisive ones in the franchise is Part 5, Bloodlines. The one thing I've seen about Part 5 that a lot of people gripe about is how cruel the movie is. From the sexual assault scenes to the dismal no mercy. When I first saw this one, yeah, it is unsettling, but it's also the same people who complained about these movies becoming complacent that also had a problem and frustration when the filmmakers tried to test the audience with some of their efforts. Were some of their efforts cheap and degrading? Sure, but we know these killers and have been alluded to their disgust, so it seems like a lot of the people just got up in arms for no reason. It was kind of the same with the Freddy Krueger remake when they insinuated that he was more of a predator. Obviously, I'm not condoning that shit, I shouldn't even have to clarify that. But people don't like when movies commit to a horrendous idea, which is fair, but what more do you expect from these disgusting, depraved fucking villains? Personally, I'm a fond believer in Wrong Turn 5. A lot of people dislike it. I really liked fucking Doug Bradley in the movie. I thought he was creepy. Months after the sanatorium massacre in the city of Fair Lake, Greenbrier County in West Virginia, the Hillikers, which now I'm starting to realize that I guess they changed the audits to the Hillikers, unless I'm misinterpreting something. Three Finger Sawtooth and One Eye started murdering Rampage with the help of serial killer as well as their grandfather Maynard Odette. Maynard Odette, the father from the first 2 that we know and love, returns, but instead of being the same actor, it's with a refreshing cameo from horror icon Doug Bradley. I feel like his arrival to this franchise was a little too late. It's kind of like all these recent horror movies that rely on old horror icons like Tony Todd, Dee Wallace, Kane Hodder. Sometimes, just let the legends lie and create something different. Sometime later on October 31st, a group of 5 friends are on their way to the Fair Lake Mountain Festival when they nearly run over Maynard and crash into a tree. Maynard lies down on the road pretending he was hit, and when they get out to check on him, he assaults one of them with a knife, and then it kind of spirals and unfolds into the family getting revenge on these random victims. There's one brutal scene in there that involves a dude in a lawnmower. I ain't gonna spoil it, so check that shit out, because I think you might bug on it. I may have watched it around the fall when it was Halloween time, so I'm probably getting more of a nostalgic feel for it, but I don't hate this one. And then Part 6 is so bad. Like, if there's one movie on this entire fucking list, don't watch this one. Like, just watch 1 through 5 and just act like they never made Part 6 because it's that bad. I'm not even kidding. I know art is up into interpretation, but this one's bad. Though it serves as a reboot, it's just called Part 6, so I'm lumping it into the video even though it's kind of dog shit. Director Declan O'Brien, who directed a few of the previous ones, was replaced by film director Valerie Malev for the 6th installment. Originally, the film served as a prequel to Wrong Turn 5 Bloodlines to complete the prequel trilogy, but was scrapped when conflicts had occurred. This one seems like they just hit the ground running and had to scramble to get it finished, so you can't blame them too much. Deep in the hills of West Virginia, Danny is introduced to the family he has never known. When he learns that they follow taboo rituals, including cannibalism, he is tempted by the forbidden and has to choose between his friends and bloodline. So, as a whole, what do I think of the Wrong Turn franchise? I will say, from start to finish, I respect the different aspects they try to provide. From the first one being a classic slasher, to 3 trying to be more gory, 5 being more dark and gritty. I feel like each film did try to do something different in tone or subgenre, but stuck to the plot and aesthetic of the original to try to tie them all together into a franchise. At times it is boring and corny, but again, many sequels in horror are. And it's up for you to decide if you think that this franchise is the worst, because a lot of people claim that it is. Alright guys, that's the review. Subscribe, give me a thumber, hit that ding-a-ling button harassing you, telling you, hey, it's me, I'm here. And I'm gonna say it 1 time for the 1 time and 2 time for the O's. Give me a hell yeah for horror. There's this wrong turn. We need to do something else at the end. I hope I drive. Cut. Soviet cut.